All right, Bill. This is a hot topic here. So we have a couple questions asking pretty much the same thing. They're asking what our predictions are for 2024 for real estate. So I'd love to hear what you're thinking here.
Yeah, so we kind of went over this most times when we do this segment. I have no idea what's coming. Kristen just kind of springs it on me, but we were texting about this topic and we thought a fun way to do it would be to kind of start off with a movie title that we think is going to sum up the year.
The next year,
Well,
2024.
for 2024. So for 2024, I sat down and I was thinking of movies. I was going through my list. I have no movies, post 2010, maybe even 2000. So I got to go back. You know me. I got to go back in the archives. And then I started thinking, well, what do I really think this market's going to do? And I have a good idea of what I think it's going to do. So my movie title for 2024 real estate predictions, at least in the Philly area, is a movie that came out 1989, starred Nicole Kidman, Billy Zane, and Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park. The movie's called Dead Calm.
Oh, Dead Calm.
Do you remember that movie?
I do, but I don't think I ever saw that movie.
It's creepy. You should watch it. It's creepy. I
think I'm confusing it with that one that I always talk about with Julia Roberts, Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yeah.
Is that the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was the
I think I confused it with
Psycho
that
Husband one. Yeah. No, this one's like they're on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a boat, and I don't even want to give it away. It's just weird.
They're on a boat in this other one too. So maybe I
really?
have seen it. I don't know.
Dead
Maybe
Calm?
I'm confusing it with the other one. Yeah.
All right, so I'll give you a quick recap of the Dead Calm. so Dr. Grant, I don't know his real name, and Nicole Kidman are married, and they're on a boat, and they're out in these calm waters. And
wait a minute, I saw this. I did
saw
see
this, right? Okay. Should I just say what
I did?
What it's about, just so the listeners or people are like, wait, I don't know what he's talking about.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So they're on a boat. It's kind of like maybe, I don't know, just picture like the Bahamas water, just calm, and they're out there just enjoying a vacation or whatever. It's been a while since I saw this movie too, so forgive me, but I'll just give you the overall. So up ahead, they see this pretty big ship. It almost looks like a pirate ship or something from what I remember. And they're trying to call ahead to see like who's on the ship and what's going on, and and they're just getting closer and closer. And all of a sudden, as they're still like maybe, I don't know, 500, let's say 500 yards away from the ship, they're looking through their binoculars and they see a guy on a dinghy, and he's rowing as fast as he can towards their boat. And they're like, what the hell's going on? So it's Billy Zane. So he gets up to the boat, and they let him on, and then I can't remember what he says to them, but I don't know if he indicates that, he said maybe the ship was sinking. Ship's sinking, blah, blah, blah. So Dr. Grant gets in the dinghy and tries to go over to the ship to go check it out. Big mistake. So there's some crazy stuff going on the ship, and then he left his wife on the boat with Billy Zane.
Yes.
Who's not such a nice guy. Yeah.
No.
So anyway, that's the movie.
Yes.
For anyone who wants to check it out.
I have seen that movie. Yeah.
So the reason I think it's Dead Calm.
That's actually a good title. That's a good title.
Okay. So should I get into why I think that? You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I think is going on in 2024 is just not much. I think rates are going to start slowly coming down, and you're going to see more activity, but I think it's just going to be a slow build in for the whole year. That's what I think, and I think that's a good thing. And I was really thinking about this because we really don't want to be in a situation where rates just suddenly drop dramatically. We don't want that, because if that happens, the market's going to go crazy. And it's going to be another feeding frenzy, and it's going to drive home prices up again, because now everybody wants to move, everybody's trying to buy, everybody's trying to jam it in. But if they slowly come down, I think it gives people, again, more time. Really, time is what we need to get adjusted and to, make this the new norm. And then if they're slowly ticking down, we'll start seeing more inventory, hopefully, and we'll start seeing more buyer activity, and we'll start getting back to normal. The frenzy happens when there's these dramatic rises in interest rates. Well, that's what it was for 2023. And the same could happen if they drop rates dramatically. Like it's really not what you want. So as painful as it is for us as realtors, I do think the best thing for the market itself is for just some steady, a steady drop. And I don't think they're going to go nowhere near where they were in the past, but if they get into the fives by the end of the year, then I think, it really opens up a lot of opportunities for buyers and sellers. And then buyers that were locked in 3 and 4, they're like, okay, 5, it's not the end of the world. You're not going from 3 to 8, like they were at one point. I think I just looked up that guarantee rate had them at the national average was like 6.65 right now, which isn't horrible. I mean, historically, really.
It's not. That's less than what I bought my first house with.
So that's my feeling for why I'm calling 2024 dead calm. Sounds boring, but I think we kind of need a little boring. We don't need the crazy time.
We need a little boring.
What was your movie title?
I'm okay with boring, honestly. After the year I've had, I'm happy to have boring. I'm happy to have really boring.
Oh, you know what's funny? Wait. I'm sorry.
So
wait. Kristen, wait.
Yeah.
Before you get into this is funny. Before you get into your 2024 movie, that's going to predict real estate for our area, I thought of a TV show that summed up my 2023, The Practice. Because all I was doing was showing a lot of houses, writing a lot of offers, and not doing any deals. So
that's
if
great.
my 2023 was a TV show, The Practice.
The Practice. That's great. That is great. Oh my God.
All right, I'm sorry. Anyway, 2024, what do you got?
I don't really have a title for a movie. I just have the predictions, things that I'm thinking of. So one thing I was, to kind of tag off of what you were just talking about with rates, the one issue that we sort of still have is that for the most part, in most places, sellers' perception is still like my home is worth this much. Like, the prices are still quite high for the most part in most places. Very few sellers have kind of gotten the memo that the rates are really high and you got to adjust your price accordingly if you want to sell this house. So if, to your point, if the rates drop dramatically and the prices are still really high and all of a sudden there is buyer demand, I mean, prices at some point will just be out of reach for any regular middle class person. I mean, the prices will just skyrocket again. And that already they're sort of higher than they've been in, years. So I think that's another reason for what you were saying is like the very slow decline of interest rates is sort of what we're looking for. So we don't have that.
Yeah, because nobody wants that, really. I mean, it sounds, if you're not really thinking about it, it sounds like, yes, well, just drop rates and let's get back. It would just not, I just think a lot more damage would happen that way. Because we've already seen
I think so too.
so many houses get way overbid, especially in the burbs, and they're cash deals. So they're not even protected with getting a mortgage, with an appraisal. And, not that I think appraisal equals market value, and we all know it doesn't. But at least it's some kind of governor, maybe some kind of roadblock there where maybe it'll stop you and say hey, just hold on here a sec, know. But and we've seen property go over the number and then appraisals come under, and if they're close and if it's even semi-close, it's not that big a deal. Like 10 grand, not a big deal. But it's when you got people putting 100, you've done deals and you've been involved in deals where people are going 120,000 over.
Yeah.
I mean, is it really worth that? I mean, it's hard to say, right? I mean, right now it's just like there are numbers that where we say that's just too much. But if who's to say for that person if it's too much? Like if
Well,
they're going to
that's
be
it.
there for 30 years and they got the money and they don't care and they're coming from New York where they would have had to spend $1 million, maybe it's not. And they don't. And I get it, but I'm just saying for overall market, it's a little. We don't want that. we,
No.
we want sellers to make money, and we obviously want real estate to increase because
Mm-hmm.
this is an investment. But we also don't want to see buyers, get so stretched out where it doesn't make sense to them, and then all these homes come back on the market. Like I don't want to see what happened in, 2008, 2009 when we had all those short sale. Remember, like almost
And
every deal
foreclosures, yeah.
was like a short sale.
Yeah.
Every deal was like you had to go through the bank and it had to be approved and you had to sign all these addendums and the seller had to bring money to the table. Like it's a little depressing,
It's very depressing. Very depressing. I mean, we definitely do not want to go back into that world. Our foreclosure rate here in Philadelphia is really low, which is great. But we definitely do not want to see that again. That is not. So I kind of agree with your dead calm. I mean, I feel like in terms of what next year should bring, hopefully, is just a bit of time. I think rates are now, I mean, they were close to 8. In some cases they were 8. Now they're kind of in the high 6s. If we can get to 5, I think that would be fantastic, or in the 5s. But I actually think if we stay in the 6s all year, that's fine. That'll become the new normal, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, that's still historically low, So I feel like that's kind of where we're headed. I don't expect prices necessarily to drop too much. But I think the growth will be pretty modest at the same time. So, I don't know. I think, what are some of your predictions though? Just to answer this listener question.
I don't know what else we could predict besides what we think the temperature is going to be.
Yeah.
Like
are there any particular areas you think will be, people will be focusing on more than others?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see. I don't know if we're going to see like the suburban flight that we've seen already happen. I think that might maybe have calmed down some. Would you say that that's still going to continue, or?
No, I mean, I actually do see. I see some hope for the city. I mean, I know I'm really optimistic about this, but we're going to have a new mayor. It's an election year. I don't know. I just kind of feel like the only thing I can be right now is optimistic for our city. I love Philadelphia, and I see, I'm reading all of these things about people going back to work and new businesses opening. Lots of new restaurants are opening. I feel like people will give the city maybe a little bit longer before leaving. And I do think that some people are coming back. I mentioned to you in, I think, the last episode that I'm working with someone who's retired, lived in Jenkintown, lived in the suburbs her whole life, and is now like in her mid 60s or so, kind of young retiree, and is excited to make a new life in Old City. So she bought this really cool condo and she's going to be living in Old City. So I don't know. I feel like I'm very hopeful for our city in 2024. I'll put it that way. I'm very optimistic, and I'm hoping that we don't have that flight and that we really do have, neighborhoods that people are excited about again, and a downtown that people are excited about. And so, yeah, that's my prediction. I hope that I'm right on that one.
By no means am I saying that no one wants to live in the city, but I think the majority of the activity we saw, and it really stemmed from going back to COVID, was more space. So everyone that was in, no matter what space you were in during COVID, you needed more. So everything was relative to that individual. So even if you had 2,000 square feet, a giant 2,000 square foot, new construction townhouse in the city, during COVID, that started to look small to you.
Yeah.
So people were looking for 4,000 in the suburbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had that, but you also had, people that were in apartments in the city going, "Oh my God, I need a townhouse." And we're perfectly happy to have their next move stay in the city and be a townhouse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people are flying to the suburbs and these houses in the city are just going dormant. They're also being purchased.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that the activity where it was almost like a bum rush. I mean, the
Yeah.
city went through this too. Like I remember back in, I don't know, 2012, 2013, so much new construction and the city got bum rushed from the suburbs, and it was just reversed. It was more expensive to live in the city than the suburbs at that
Mm-hmm.
point. And now it's shifted. It'll shift, I'm sure, at some
Yeah.
point in the future. And what I'm saying is, I still think we might see more of an urgency for the suburb deals, but not as much as we saw in the last 2 years. So I
Yeah.
think it's kind of starting to balance itself, but I still think the burbs are going to be more desirable at this point. But that does not mean that the cities doesn't have a lot going on, and that you don't have young buyers still buying in the city. I just closed the deal last month for condo at 12th and Bainbridge. Young single guy. He was happy to
Yeah.
have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by
Yeah.
no means am I saying that no one's buying in Philly. That's totally not what I'm saying.
Yeah. 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 No, I think that, in COVID, like you said, there were people who, were maybe thinking, like young families that were sort of thinking, well, I've got a couple years, I'll stay in the city and then we'll move in a couple of years. And then 2020 happened, COVID happened, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're pushing up our timeline. Now we want to go now. Where I think that part will slow. I think people will still eventually maybe think that that'll be their move, but I don't think there's this feeling of urgency the way that it once was, which is good. Like people feel like, and then there's a lot of, there's a lot of stuff going on with our schools. There's a ton of parent involvement with people who want to stay and raise children in the city. And so they're really involved in the public schools. And, I just feel some optimism here for our city of brotherly love. And I hope that people decide to make it their permanent home, honestly.
What I'm hoping for myself is that my buyers get back out there that got shut out in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want a prediction for 2024, I think a word like trepidation might be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're going to be, trying to, get out there and see what's going on and looking. I mean, we have, and when I say we, I'm sure you do, but I know it's more than me. We have buyers that are ready. We have buyers that are ready, looking, and they're always looking. So it's just a matter of when. So I would say I think 2024 is going to be a gradual increase in sales per quarter. There's a prediction for you.
Yeah.
I think we're going to come out of the holiday. You're going to see some stuff, see some activity. Then we're going to get into Q2. You're going to see a little more. Q3 a little more, and then Q4 it could be the most where it's usually not, because by Q4 you might see rates in the high fives. Because
Dip
right
into the
now,
fives, yeah.
that's not crazy. I mean, right now they're in the almost mid to high sixes. They're 6.65 for the average, the national average, right? But you could also buy a point or two down, and you can get to like 6.1, 6.2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just by putting a couple $1,000 more down on your payment. So even that right there, that's possible. So if rates get to 6.5 or under, you could get it. You can lock something in the fives by the end of this year. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. No, I believe you. I believe that. What are you seeing just now? This is sort of like our, slower coming out of the holiday time. I always find that at the beginning of January. Oh, can you hear me? I think my microphone just did something funny. The beginning of January always, to me, feels a little busy, which a lot of people say, oh, spring market starts in, mid-February after the Super Bowl. But I always feel like January is sort of a time when a lot of conversations are starting to happen. Maybe not, sales necessarily, but conversations like, okay, this is the year we're going to do this. Can you get us set up on a search? Can we have a buyer consultation about this? We want to sell this year. How are you feeling? What have your conversations been with buyers and sellers and clients?
No, I agree. I think we do that with a lot of things with January 1. And it
Mm-hmm.
probably has a lot to do
Yeah.
with the last couple weeks of December where everyone's just walking around in their Christmas pajamas. It's
Yep.
like I got to start doing something. I got to get back to the gym. I got to start
Yeah.
planning. Um, no, I haven't had a ton of conversations, but like new conversations. But honestly, like my conversations are still going on from last year.
Mm-hmm.
So like everybody that's missed out, I mean, they're still there. Like they're still
Yeah.
looking at their collections, and for our Compass tools, we set up what's called a collection for our buyers where we can save property, and it's almost just like a folder that they can see properties, and we could see the activity, and we communicate back and forth. I could see my people searching.
Yeah. Me too.
That I
Yeah.
know they're there and they're looking, and I'm always communicating with them through that, just catching up with them. So I think everybody's just kind of, especially the buyers, they're just kind of watching and seeing what's happening. They're probably
Mm-hmm.
looking at the rate coming out of the holiday and trying to get a feel for what's going on. And then we still need some more inventory too. So
We do.
there's that. So
Yeah.
they're looking, and if they see something, I think they would pounce on it. But you had mentioned something in maybe a couple episodes ago on how Phillies is weather dependent in the winter.
Yeah. Yep.
So right now, today, I mean, it feels pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel crazy cold. There's not a ton of snow. There's not ice. That always slows everything up. We have
Mm-hmm.
weather that's been in the 40s, so it's like that could bring on an early spring market for sure.
Yeah.
I could
They're
see.
calling the Farmer's Almanac is calling for a pretty snowy winter actually here in Philly. Certainly haven't seen it yet though. The temperatures have been way above average so far. So
I would be
who
okay
knows?
with.
But
I would
but
be okay with that. I hate to say it, but
yeah, I'm actually okay with it. I love snow when I have nowhere to be and I could just sit in my house
yeah.
with my hot cocoa and
You
look
love
at it.
it, sit
I
in your house. You
love
love
it.
a snow load. You like to truck down to walk down to the corner bar and sit
I
there and
do.
drink. Yeah,
That's
with your
my
snow
I
boots
love it.
on.
I love it. But
I know.
this business doesn't exactly stop and I feel like the moment it snows someone's like, "I need to see this property."
Oh yeah,
And that I actually really can't stand. I
me
cannot stand
too.
driving in the snow. So then I usually have to get Billy to drive me in his truck, four-wheel drive, and I have to like hop out like I've got a chauffeur. It's the whole thing is just terrible and embarrassing. And you're wearing snow boots and lock boxes are frozen and
Yeah, it's
no,
bad.
I could do without. I love a beautiful snow day when I have nothing to do, but
Yeah,
oh no.
and then you have to truck, and then you have snow all over you, and then you have to go in someone's house, and you got to
And then
bang
of
off
course you
your
have to take your
boots.
boots off.
And then you got to try not to get everybody's house soaking wet. It's yeah, it's tough.
Balance yourself while you're putting your boots back on.
So I
Because they never
remember
have a bench.
we haven't had to do it in a few years, but I remember like Sheena
No.
would leave the house with like that de-ice spray for the
Oh yeah.
lockbox, like
For lock
spraying lock
boxes.
boxes, trying to get the numbers to turn.
I used to give like a mini version of that to the team every year as a Christmas present. Like a little pocket version that
funny.
you can put in your purse or your bag.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Oh yeah, you have to have de-icer. You have to have, if you don't have de-icer, you can have like just a bottle of alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. That works too.
That's
I
too
always
funny.
have my car stocked with that stuff.
Well, I
But
was
yeah,
saying,
I'd be happy to not have that.
well, I was saying that I don't mind. I need to have some snow because my son, he has not gone
Yeah.
sledding. 2 years ago, we had some snow. We had like maybe we get like 6 inches, and it was there for like one day. We have video
Yeah.
of him walking around in it. But he's at the point where we have this big hill at this park right down the street from us, and he's like, "Dad, when it snows, we're going to this hill." I was like, "We are going to this hill," and we
That's
bought
so
him a
cool.
sled.
Yeah.
Like last year, and it's like, come on, man. So if we get some snow late January, February, I'm not going to be too upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Kristen, we're going to wrap this one up. I think we're on the same page with what we think about 2024.
I think so.
And it's a good thing. Wouldn't you say? Like, I don't think it's.
I think so.
It's a little
Yeah,
boring.
I mean,
but
it's a little boring, but again, I'm good with boring this year. If that's what it ends up being, I'm good with it.
as long as we see that nice, steady growth and getting back to what we're used to, it's all good.
Yeah.
I think we passed the hardest part of, selling and buying real estate that we haven't seen in a long time. So I think we are over the hump, and I think we do have good things coming. I just think it's not going to just bounce back incredibly, but it's going to be a nice slow burn. It's going to be nice, nice slow ride up.
Nice dead calm.
Nice dead calm. All right, Kristen. Happy New Year, and
Happy New Year
catch
to
you next
you.
week at Coffee Break.
All right, sounds good. Happy New Year.